Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thin Line Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Sidd Negretti. I'm here today with Barbee Fagan, as usual, as well as Eric Recker. And for the first time, we have a guest on our show. We have Pease, the Director of Inclusion and co-founder of the Pease Foundation that you've heard us talk about several times in our episodes to date. So today's theme is going to be all about inclusion and giving back. And we have a ton of stories to talk about that we all personally want to share. In fact, we were talking just before this, and Kyle's like, we got to make sure we save some time because I want to ask you guys some questions as well. So we're going to have a great conversation. In fact, it's going to be such a great conversation that we're actually going to split this episode into two. So you'll see the first part in the upcoming week, and then you will see the second part in the week after that. With that said, I'd like to turn it over to Eric, and we'll start asking Kyle some questions about who he is and who the foundation is. Eric, you want to get us started?
Absolutely. Kyle, first of all, thanks for joining us today. You are a busy guy with everything you do with the foundation, so we are thrilled to have you here. The foundation has impacted all of us, but would you start by just telling us a little bit about your disability?
Yeah, thank you guys for giving me this platform, and I'm honored to be the very first guest. I was talking to Sid and Barbie about how I wanted to be the first guest. So thank you for allowing me to be the first guest. So yes, I have cerebral palsy. My particular CP is called spastic quadriplegia CP, which affects all four of my limbs. I have a twin brother, Evan. We are identical twins, and we were carried to full term. So it was a preterm situation, but at birth, it was injury that happened that caused me to have a lack of oxygen to my brain. So I did not get all the blood cells that you need as a normal baby to continue to progress. Yeah, so I got diagnosed at 6 months old. And funny thing is, when I came out, they thought that Evan was going to be the one that had CP because he had a lot of breathing issues and all of that. But I guess he came out normal or whatever you call normal now. But yeah. So now I've been in a wheelchair my whole life. Different variations of wheelchairs, starting with a stroller when I was a baby, and then it turned into various different manual chairs. And when I was 8 years old, I got my first power wheelchair, and I've had variations of power wheelchairs throughout my life. So I'm very grateful that technology has allowed me to live such an independent life. And I give my family tons of credit. My mom and dad are some of the best people I know, and you all know Brent and what he does for the foundation as executive director, and what he does for the Tonight community, and an all-around great guy as well as Evan. But Evan lives in the New York area with his wife and two small kids. So we don't get to see each other a lot, but when we do, we get to fall into old times and pick on one another, and I get to have a good time. So that's kind of this story about my cerebral palsy. I do have some wonderful caretakers that help me out to get me ready to go to the office with the Pease Foundation that do travel with me as well. So I know that Barbie got to meet one of them last week or 2 weeks ago. And so my staff means a world to me, and they really help me behind the scenes get to where I need to get to. So very grateful for the impact that they have on me as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. You obviously, family is hugely important to you, Kyle. I love hearing that story, the way you've shared all that. So tell us a little bit what growing up in the Pease house was like for you and for everybody.
I really, to be honest, Eric, that's a great question. I wish that I had that kid mentality now that I'm 41 years old, because the older I get, the more frustrated I get some days with my condition, with a body that doesn't work the way I want it to work. I don't want to call it a broken body, because I believe that my soul shines through my broken body, and I really, put forth in the universe what I want out the universe. I'm a firm believer in my faith. It's very important to me. But growing up, it really, like I said, my parents taught me that no was not an answer. That even though no might be an answer, we were going to find a way to say yes, even if the first answer was no. So I lived a great childhood. I got picked on all the time by Evan and Brent. I got picked on at school. And we get amazing. I wanted my childhood to be as normal as possible. And I remember so many memories of where we would go, where we were out and about, and my family, when people stared at me or made comments, they would go up to those people and say, "Let me introduce you to Kyle, and get to know him, and get to know his heart and what he's all about." And if you have questions, feel free to ask Kyle those questions, because I truly believe that if you don't know something, you need to ask. And when that kid truly understand what's going on is when they ask questions. So when you ask questions, you get the answer that you want. So I would rather people come up to me, even now as a grown adult, and ask me questions. But, to answer your question, I thought my family really showed me what inclusion looks like. And I know that we'll touch on this a little bit later, talk about what we do with the Kyle Pease Foundation and how we give back to so many, and that we just engraved in me. I know no other way. I want to show people that anything is possible, through athletes with KPF, through my childhood, even into adulthood, through adolescence and puberty and all of that. And even now in the 2-9 community, and I'll talk about this when we get to that part, but even Barbie, what she went through and Mark took about a couple weeks ago, like that's included right there, that sometimes we get knocked down, but it's not how you fall down, it's how you get up. And I learned so much from Barbie that day, and I was just talking to Sid yesterday in the office about it. A whirlwind 36 hours it was for me, but I learned so much from the athlete that day, and at the top of that list was Barbie for sure.
That's awesome. Sid, I think he covered my next question as well already. Kyle, you're doing an awesome job. So I'm gonna kick it over to you to talk a little bit about the athletic journey.
Yeah, so somewhere along the line, and we've talked about this in prior episodes, your brother Brent, he started competing in Ironmans and triathlons. And I know there was an Ironman, and specifically, I think, that he had finished. And you, at the finish line, asked him or asked one of your friends that were with you, your question was, do you think I could ever do that? And I think the answer from Brent was, I don't know, but let's go figure it out. Can you talk to us a little bit about how it is that you decided to become an Ironman athlete and a marathoner, and what steps you needed to go through both mentally and physically to start that journey?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I think you're exactly right about how the whole journey evolved, and that's the question that I asked Brett was, get people a wheelchair do Ironman, and I asked her right after he completed his first Ironman in Louisville, and and I think that all four of us can agree on this, that Ironman is one of the most inclusive sports that I have ever been a part of. And more than Ironman, more so endurance sports, because they're not a line for me to go through. I have to start at the same line as everybody else does. And that's why I love about it, that I'm held to the same standards as everybody else is. If I don't make the bike cutoff at 10.5 hours, then I don't get to keep going. And I can tell you that the volunteer don't have to tell me. I know, and I will tell Brett that we are done by the blessings and by a lot of good athletic skills and our love and determination for one another that has never happened to us. And I'm grateful for that. But I think sometimes you have to fail to truly understand what your legacy is. And throughout my childhood and doing different sports activities, I failed, and I'm always reminded of that every day of my life when my caretaker picked me up from my bed and placed me in my wheelchair every morning. And for 1 minute, a solid 1 minute, it's like, shit, like, here's my life. And I have to depend on everybody to do everything. Let's say you see KPF staff help me throughout the day in the office, going to the restroom and eating and finding my way on public transportation on my own. If one thing is off, then everything is thrown off. But then I am reminded of all my athletic accomplishments that nobody in their right mind to do. Like, why does somebody do a 36-hour crime that nobody recognizes but that community and that individual? I mean, why do we do what we do? We do it because we love it. And that is what I'm reminded of after I have my one person kitty committee party. Now, I get to do this. And I get to do this with you, Sid, with Eric, with Barbie, with Emmanuel, with Casey, with Colleen, with whoever you want to throw it in there. Like, I'm reminded of what I get to do. And it's, I mean, it's a cliche, but pleasure is a privilege. We don't have to do this. We get to do this. And we get to do it together. And that's what I love about Lacey with Brent, and that Brent might provide the legs and the endurance ability, but it doesn't work without either one of us. And, again, don't mean to bring up Barbie again, but she's right here. But a couple of weeks ago, it would not have worked without her being vulnerable and me be vulnerable to say, hey, I don't know what she needs, but I see that she's struggling right now. And everybody at the table could see that she's struggling. And so we did whatever we could to get her back. And they could show me what inclusion is all about. that everyone, regardless of need, regardless of ability, they have a seat at the table. And Barbie that day, that night, had a seat at the table. And everyone from my caretaker, Alan, to Brian, to Kendall, to everybody that got Barbie back to the bottom of that mountain was a part of her success. So everyone that helped me is a part of my success. And I'm eternally grateful for it. And look, I have my bad days. And when I do, I probably talk to my buddy Sam, who is my longest caregiver. He's been with me for 18 years, and we've been through heaven and hell together and back and forth. I love him, but he drives me crazy. And then I have another buddy that lives in Philadelphia, and his name is Phil. And I met Phil through my church here in Atlanta. But then he moved up to Philly. I don't know why. I mean, besides Phil, I hate everything about Philly. So, but we talk about everything that we're talking about today, about how, that just because I need help with athletics or with whatever, it doesn't mean I'm weak. We all need help. Like, I mean, Barbie needed help a couple weeks ago. Eric, you'll probably need help with Whistler. Sid, God knows, I know you need help with everything. So we all, at time, we're all going to need help. My help is more, and I need people. But that doesn't mean that we all don't need people, because we all need people.
Yeah, I love the way you finished up. There's so much rich content in what you just shared. I love how you finished up that story, which is, it's not just about a disability. It's about the recognizing that we all need help, and then we all will figure out ways to contribute at different times when we need help. You said, hey, my help is I need help getting out of bed. In fact, and I'll share a short anecdote. I've been fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with you and a lot of the other employees around the office at the Pease headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. And it took me a while to realize, when I am not sitting in my chair right, or if I need to go to the bathroom, or if I'm feeling a little hungry, I can just go do that stuff. I can just get up, go to the bathroom, and come back. I can go into Brent's office and find some Swedish fish on his desk, eat it, and come back. You and some of the other employees in the office don't have that benefit, and it took me a while to realize that, like, you're working 10 times harder at doing the same thing that I'm doing because you have to ask and rely on other people for assistance. But then in the same way, you are able to give other people energy and power and clarity when they need it. And you perfectly summed it up in the time that you and Barbie shared in Tremblant, which, Barbie shared in a previous episode, and is a great story. So I want to make sure we get back into it in this episode as well, where, Barbie was going through a crisis, didn't know what she needed, look to each of us on this call. You happen to be there real time and able to help her. And so I think that's a tremendous story. Something else that you said, which I love, because Barbie teaches us a lot about what she calls abracadabra. With words, I create. With my words, I create. And you use the reference, I get to. You talked about I get to. So my question for you is, as you guys were going through, and you and Brent were going through your journey of competing in Ironmans, trying to get into the Kona Ironman World Championship, and then trying to do it again, how did your mindset change along the way? And what did you do to try to prepare yourselves mentally and emotionally to take on those challenges as things went right and then things went wrong, and things went right and then things went wrong?
Yeah, so I think that each of us on this call there, and all the listeners, we are given a tool test every day. And it's up to us to build those tool chests, build them up, and bring people along that you want to be in your space and in your community. Those Ironman, look, we always dreamt about doing Kona. And it took us 7 years to get a golden ticket with a lot of no's along the way. And if I had a nickel for every time somebody has said no, I think I might be one of the most wealthiest guys with a whole fucking nickels out there to donate back to the Kyle Pease Foundation. So, I think my examples of my own life has really helped me prepare for what Conan taught me. And Conan taught me never to give up on a dream of something that you want to come true. And the Kyle Pease Foundation has shown me that just because you have a disability, that's what a paper says. A paper says that we are physically disabled. But everyone at the Kyle Pease Foundation, when they are lazy with us, I want them to forget about their disability. And I want them to focus on being the athlete that they are. Because they are so badass athletes. And it's truly amazing that because one brother said yes to another brother, that was going to open up so many doors for so many others. 15 years ago, I had no idea that we would be almost a $3.5 million operating budget, where we had 17 employees. 8 of us are disabled. And complete strangers like the 3 that were coming to our family and opened the doors for so many. Field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. And they have certainly come. And I hope that our legacy through the Kona Ironman that you're making will continue to help people see they're possible despite what they are going through.
Yeah, I love that recap, and that's actually a perfect tee up for Barbie. If you'd like to get into some discussion about the foundation itself, and to Kyle's point that he just talked about, the 15-year journey that has led to an operating budget of $3.2 million, 17 employees, including almost half of them with some sort of disability, working at that foundation. Barbie, I think you might have some great questions for Kyle in this area.
I do. The first one, Kyle, is why did you and Brent decide to start this foundation?
I wanted to start Barbie because I wanted to give back to people as much as people give to me on a daily basis. I wanted to put a little good back into the world. And I've always believed that how can you leave this place better than you saw it? And so that has always been my mantra, my belief that I want to leave it a little bit better than I saw it. And I wanted to show people what they can do rather than what they can't do. So that in a nutshell is why I wanted to start the foundation, to first pay homage to my family for giving me so much growing up. And in return, I wanted to help others and show them what they can do rather than what they can't do.
Absolutely. And you sure have done that, Kyle, you and the foundation. So tell us a little bit about some of the early day struggles that you and Brent had as you were creating and gathering more athletes to be involved and fundraising to be had. Tell me some of the struggles you two had gone through.
Yeah, there were so many. In 2011, we were fortunate enough to have a lot of good lawyers that we knew in the local Atlanta community to rally around us. So getting the 501c3 status was not an issue. It took us about 9 months to find our first athlete. And those were challenging days because it was like, are we really doing this the right way? And my mom challenge both of us as well. Like, what's the point of this foundation? Like, what are y'all trying to accomplish? In the first year, we raised $7,000. I don't know when we got our first donation, big donation was $300, and we thought we were doing, great work, and now like $300 is great. Right now, we're elevating that, and so I think we just had to be patient, and we had to set a very firm foundation about what we wanted, and how we were going to do that. And I know we have all met Emmanuel. But me and Emmanuel grew up playing sports together, adaptive sports. And then, like 14 years later, I saw him on our public transportation system. And I'm like, hey, buddy, you gotta come and join the Pease Foundation. And he was like, well, what's that? So I told him what it was, this, and he was at the next race. And Emmanuel is very competitive, and I thought, he'll be one and done. Nobody likes to be pushed in brand new equipment that the foundation purchases, and I'm like, yeah, he's not gonna have fun because he's competitive. But little did I know, it did something for Emmanuel that only he could answer. And now here we are 15 years later, and he works for the foundation, and he's a critical part of what operation does to even pull off a race now. We cannot do it without Emmanuel. We cannot do it without James, who worked on our development team, and he goes to races an hour away in North Georgia, and he's a critical part of getting our checks processed and creating different ways for our donors to collaborate with us. And so he does a great job. And then you have other employees like Kevin, who does all of our creativity with our blogs and vlogs. And I mean, see, you mentioned it, that what takes me 2 hours to do, copy and paste, then those 2 9 videos, the other participants, it takes Kevin double that time. And he goes through 4 outfits a day because he's like really focused on using the eye gaze technology that he has in order for him to communicate. So what takes somebody 5 minutes to do an email takes Kevin 45 minutes to an hour just to do one paragraph. Like, imagine how numbing that is. How so much detail has to go into finding the A with his eye to get to the keyboard. But that's what he does. Is he produces some amazing content for it. And so it just is. It's hard work, but it's a labor of love. I'm sorry that went sideways a little bit, but it's truly a labor of love what we do.
Absolutely. And I had the pleasure to be a teammate with Manny in Atlanta. And Kyle, you're right. He's competitive. And I'm like, are you
Yes,
sure you want to be with Barbie and Jillian on this
yes,
adventure?
yes.
Competitive and a heart of gold. And we had the best time. And I will say, of all the half marathons I've participated in, that was my favorite and most special. Manny's a good guy.
Great guy, yes.
So I have one more question for you, Kyle. If you can see the future. So KPF is now 15 years old, or we'll call it 15 years young. Where do you see, or where would you like to see KPF in the next 15 years?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think that's what we're strategizing about right now. I think one thing that you'll see over the next 2 to 5 years is the foundation is gonna begin to work with other pockets of the United States to open up new chapters for KPF to show what it could look like in the Northeast area, in the Midwest, and out West. I know that there's a lot of conversations that me and Brent and our leadership team is having about opening up more opportunities for KPF to expand. So I think that you'll see that in the next 2 to 5 years. I really truly believe that we could be a $5 to $10 million organization, and just getting new partners, getting them solidified and on board. And I'm talking about heavy hitters. Right now, we have Lululemon and Adidas are some of our most heavy hitters, but we also have local companies that do amazing work with us, and we are just as grateful for the big names that we are the small names. So no organization is too small for us to be a part of, and we would love to talk to you if you are interested in finding us or helping us find more ways to be a more inclusive organization.
It's a good segue, Kyle. So for our listeners, if they want to be involved, because how would you not want to be involved after hearing these stories? How would they get involved with KPF, or how could they?
Yeah, they can get involved in many different ways. You can always come down to 11. But be careful what you ask for. They Colleen and Lou come down to every major event that we have. So you could be like Colleen, or you could just love to learn and love to spread awareness through inclusion and help KPS that way. We always talk about 3 areas that we need help with, and that's time, talent, and treasure. We need individuals to investigate get to know what we do, get to know our athletes, get to know Curtis, Eric, what you have done, and
Yep.
and see working alongside James and Aiden and Natalie with KPF headquarters, and of course Barbie with me and you and Emmanuel and all that. Like, you all have invested your time with KPF. And then talent, we cannot do it without you guys, whether you're a Boston qualifier or whether you run a 7-hour marathon. We need people to get behind those chairs and lend your legs to our amazing athletes. And then we are a nonprofit, so we do rely on very generous donors, as the three of y'all have done so beautifully. And so we need to keep the lights on and find more partners to keep us moving in the inclusive environment. So we rely on treasure. So those are the ways that they can get involved, and you can find all that at our website, KPeasey.org. And if you're not an athlete, that's okay. You can always come out to a race and unload wheelchairs to help logistically get us set up for a race. Help me with a bottle of water or even a banana. That goes a very long way as well. And then you could be a mentor through our new mentorship program. And you can find all of that on our website. And Sid, I'm sure you'll put that in the show notes as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That was a great question, Barbie, just to try to let as many people know how they can help participate in the foundation. Obviously, Barbie and Eric, you have both come in from out of town to participate in events here in Atlanta, as well as many others. Jillian, your friend Jillian came down. Jessica Seidel, who you will see next week at Steamboat, she came down for the Sparks 5K. There's been endless amount of other people part of the 29 community and otherwise that have given their time physically in Atlanta, either at events or at the office. And so that's a great thing. Before we go, I just want to go back to the point that you made about Kevin. So Kevin enters, you talked about it takes him 45 minutes to do a paragraph, but we are not talking about someone who is in any way not producing quality material. He produces almost all of the blog output and story output that you will see on the KPF website. He does short form books as well as long form published books. He is really amazing. So if you think about the content that you're getting from him, he personally wrote an article for an athlete that I'm very close to, Tom Miazga. And it was an outstanding piece. And even Tom was very impressed. And so this is quality material. He's just working so much harder to output this stuff, but it is very quality material. So I love that you mentioned him. Let's stop here. And then when we come back in the second episode, we'll talk a little bit more about our own personal experiences with inclusion and giving back. It'll be a great conversation for the four of us to have here on the Thin Line podcast.